universe of characters created by Gary Vaynerchuk. And so you have to have a level of understanding about Gary Vee, his experience in business, what kind of businesses he's built, which are namely like media companies. He's built a direct-to-consumer wine brand. He built Wine Library in New Jersey. He now has Vayner Speakers, Vayner NFT or Vayner 3, Vayner Productions, Vayner Talent, and so many other iterations. But Vayner Media, Web 2 marketing is like the mainstay. That was his job before VeeFriends. And so he had shared very publicly that his plan to eventually buy the New York Jets, which is his life's goal, because he is the world's biggest Jets fan. He was going to buy outdated intellectual properties like Hasbro or Frosted Flakes and put them through his marketing machine that he developed and elevate the revenue and profit of those brands, sell those companies to people who would want to take over that revenue, and use that money to buy the New York Jets. I think he's still very much going to do that, but what he's done with VeeFriends and with a foundation of Ethereum NFTs is create 268 individual brands, individual voices that can be paired and deployed against those brands he may accumulate, and even just be their own standalone businesses. And the way he's going to do that is by day trading attention and nostalgia for things like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, for kind of storytelling around the emotional intelligence skills that VeeFriends represent. So when you look at VeeFriends, you're looking at not just a character, but a voice that can be deployed against different types of affinities throughout any number of demographics and psychographics that might be interested. And yes, on top of that, there may be a sell, there may be a product or a service, but just like anything in the market, like ultimately you want to find the people who need your product, who need your service, the whole product market fit thing. You know, you don't have to like scalp customers when you actually tap into your target market and provide them something that they need, which is the philosophy behind Gary's marketing, which is 51-49. Give more than you take. And there are many other things. But when you're looking at VeeFriends 1 at a certain price point, 5-6 ETH today, when you're looking at Series 2 at 0.3, 0.4 ETH today, you know, the value matters for you making your investment decision, and that's a completely different thing. But when you're trying to understand what do the poses mean, what are the scenes and what are the characters, the thing to remember is that Gary created these with the intention of being global voices. So if you want to make a hedge about like the viability of a certain character, you can see how those animals or those attributes are already integrated in culture and where they might be relevant. Like I'll give you a very random one. The Bubbly Buzzard. Bubbly Buzzard is not a top character. Nobody really talks about it a lot, but Gary mentioned once it could be paired well with a champagne brand. That doesn't mean it will be. It's just showing an example of how these things iterate. And so when you fast forward through the last 16 months, I won't give you the whole play-by-play. We've come to a point where the value proposition of VeeFriends is two-part. It's VeeCon, which is an annual conference, and then surprise utility activations. One of the things that Gary is very bullish on is the ability for the operator or the business owner to add utility to a token through the ledger that is the blockchain at any given moment based on the opportunities at hand. So like the Accountable Anteater thing I mentioned, Accountable Anteaters got free multivitamins. There was a collaboration with Empathy Wines, and certain character cards got free bottles of wine. And just next week, there's going to be an event in New York City. So this is current news. September 15th at Round 2, which is a sneaker shop, there's going to be an event in which VeeFriends debuts a prototype shoe in collaboration with Reebok called the V-Bok. And the character associated is the aspiring alpaca. It's featured on the shoe. Just today, they posted a video with a lot more details of the make of it. And on September 15th, Gary will make an appearance. He'll be there for about an hour, and they will auction off they will raffle off 5 pairs of these prototype shoes, and the raffle tickets cost $5 each. But if you own an aspiring alpaca, you get a free raffle ticket. You might get a free pair of shoes if you're really lucky. Or if you own the sneaker shop, then you can attend as a VIP. Sneaker shop is a scene in the background within Series 2. You can attend the event as a VIP. Unfortunately, the deadline to claim that has just passed, both the VIP access and the raffle ticket. But if you're watching this, it doesn't hurt to go into the Discord, open up a support ticket, and say, hey, I just heard the deadline passed. Is there any way I can be added to the list? Or is there any way I can still claim my free raffle tickets? So coming back to like catching up, VeeFriends is rolling out these what I think are more like breadcrumbs. They're like appetizers. I don't think we've seen a VeeFriends entree since the Series 2 mint and the Compete and Collect cards roll out. But I'm expecting an entree in the fall. Now, we don't know yet when the Snoop Dogg collaboration is going to happen, but it's confirmed and should be announced by the end of October. But I expect I don't think that's the entree. I think, and I could imagine a winter apparel line in the works. You know, characters like the Skilled Skeleton, the Last Class Standing, the Jolly Jacko, the Helpful Hippo, the Curious Crane. They've all been shouted out recently that things are brewing, but it hasn't been confirmed. And I just can't help but think that this idea of character development that is so vague right now, mainly because there's so many characters in the slate and in the universe, I have a feeling that idea is going to get clarified a little bit. Bold prediction, like what I would love to see is a decisive like path forward on a completed story, beginning, middle, end of a medium to long-term format. So that could look like a 15-minute animated short. That could look like a children's book. I do think that when VeeFriends does a children's book, it'll be featuring the accountable ant and it'll target 7-year-olds. Gary said that early on, and I'd be surprised if he's moved on from that. They had a children's book deal at one point around March, April. And Gary said on a podcast the deal was ready to sign, but we confirmed shortly after that they had walked away from the deal. But it doesn't mean they walked away from the idea of a children's book. So the thing to understand, if you're new to VeeFriends or if you're unsure about what's coming, that every media format is going to be tried. Right now we're seeing a lot of short form animations, but they're going to want to do TVs, movies, books, and video games. What would be very cool to see this year, but I doubt it, would be more information about a video game. They gave us a mini game in the pre-reveal of Series 2, the Journey with Gary B. It's a very simple Flash game. But I hope that they're developing more of like a Mario Party of VeeFriends. So instead of Mario Kart, where it's one game and you play that game and it has this dynamics, it's more of a potpourri of things. Like there's a VeeFriends Street Fighter, there's a VeeFriends Pong, you know, there's VeeFriends versions of a lot of recognizable games that people already know how to play, but with the messages, values, and characters from VeeFriends. The other major thing going on in VeeFriends right now is the Rainmakers League, which we're going to talk about later. The Fantasy Football League. They're giving away several VeeFriends Gary originally owned NFTs to the top players. And what I think the other thing that people are looking forward to, but is for gift goats only, is gift number 8. Gift number 7 dropped about a month ago or so, and it was not well received. To say not well received is a massive understatement. It was not customized. It dropped in what seemed like a hurried fashion, and the communication was not what is becoming of a global brand like VeeFriends. And the team acknowledged that, and Gary has since said that he is now like on the main team of GiftGoat. It's not delegated anymore, and so I'm hopeful that GiftGoat 8 makes a splash, but the claim window hasn't opened yet. We don't know when it will land. I think before the end of the year, but time will tell. I'm sure there's other stuff going on in VeeFriends, but there's nothing that folks have to take action on right now. Outside of signing up for the fantasy league, everything else is just rumors and these little activations like the VBOC charity, which, like I said, that deadline has passed. So when another claim like that comes up, I'll tweet about it, I'll send it out on text, I'll post content about it. But all active claims are currently closed.
That's why you got to make sure you're following Jeremy.
That was
all
that
the
was
links
a
are in
long
the bio
description of VeeFriends.
I love it, man. That